like somebody had a daycare center and they had a playground. I was wondering if anything applies to us.
It does too. Because of the liability to the town.
Well, so I guess their first step is finding out how many square feet we have out there, right?
Are we gonna keep it in the same spot or we?
Well, I
Well,
guess,
that was my question.
Right.
So,
Well, where can we put it?
Wait,
is there like some plan for future development, you know, when we destroy the Beckham house? As far as,
options to move.
I mean, is there like a playground consultant? that can-
Oh, there are playground
Yeah.
consultants. There are all kinds of them out
We
there.
need to bring.
And let me tell you, they're aggressive too.
Yeah,
I mean, I kind of, like, we were looking into it and they're aggressive. I was like, oh, whoa, I don't, whew, yeah.
So
And they'll
the-
come out and look at, you know,
I think a starting point would be like where you would want it, if it was like level, you know, because right now it slopes down to the fence area. And it kind of ends on the curb area, so if a kid falls and over, you know, from the top or jumps and falls into the parking lot, then you
Yeah.
have issues.
well, I think what we have is what was left over when the retention pond was done, when they did the parking lot. So
Mhm.
it's, you know,
And you're exactly right, that big some of that.
we probably need to figure out, I mean, how
Well,
much,
if you're gonna put a small, if you're gonna put a minimal thing in, you can put it where it is, you can stick it on where the Beckham property is, or you can bring in some dirt and put it on there, put it behind where the green house or the purple house where it used to be,
yeah.
behind between the parking lot and the railroad track. You can put it in there.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much space you have to have, I mean, I don't know what the mathematics is.
Yeah,
If you have a swing set that'll handle 6 kids, do you have to have so many square feet per kid inside of the
10.
fence? And that's what I understand.
10 square feet per kid.
How many?
10 square feet per kid.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. Well, how do we keep the one we've got open then?
it's 'cause nobody reports it.
that's right.
The state, that's what-
Everybody gets hurt.
Brian, what's your-
I would like to see it removed,
Yes,
like
It's a-
regardless of future plans.
yeah, I think we need
I would
to,
like to see it just scooped up and
definitely we need to, it's a
you
safety.
can have no playground in the interim if necessary, that's fine, but,
Yeah, I agree. I agree, it's a safety
So
issue.
you think it's a safe?
I think it's a safety issue. I mean, yeah.
it's more of a liability than it is a
Especially,
entertainment action, condition.
yeah, especially since we know it's not certified.
I can't hear.
Currently,
Yeah.
don't we have those concrete, stanchions that have the little bouncy animals on top?
Yeah,
That's right up against the fence.
okay.
The kids could climb up on that and
Right.
get hurt in itself, and then you never know when some adventurous bigger kid comes along and jumps,
Exactly.
yeah. So I would think, I mean, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but just, you gotta start it from scratch.
I would like to see a space designated in that area because we do have a lot of people that ask me if the playground's going to be available, if they can use the playground when they have parties here. Because the parents don't want the wild kids in here, you know, so they take them out to the playground, they get to run around in the playground and the parking lot and kind of ease off the steam, so.
Well, that's the question I have. Now, when people rent the building, does that exclude people from the public to be able to play on the playground if we had a playground? Could they also play then? When you rent the building, just get the playground?
Well, the thing is that when it's there and people are here and they're having their kids there, it makes it more private than if you have like a big playground and people from here or there and there's other people from the neighborhood, it would, you know, it might be an issue.
But technically, when people rent the facility, yes, people can come play.
There's no people, yeah, that's all I
Yeah.
wanna make sure, because my idea is, I thought, get rid of it like you want to,
Right.
but why don't we just create 2 of them? Well, once we tear down the bedroom place, put more of a playground for the bigger kids, because it's farther away from the building, and parents can't hardly see them. So you want the bigger kids out there, and make this more like a kiddie park.
Yeah.
Maybe sandbox, we really don't have to put nothing like out there like a swing. You put a sandbox and maybe a little, like the little spring things.
Sandboxes, you can't have a sandbox.
Can't, well, I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah.
We could have like a little youth one and more for older kids, and that'd be more attractive to the park and also to the building. And then when they do have functions, they still have two separate ones they can go to, and they won't take away from the public.
Well, I've got a more fundamental question than any of this, and that is, do we wanna be in the park, in the, kiddie playground business? I mean, do we wanna spend the kind of money you're talking about spending for a little nice addition for the occasional renter, 7 times a year, I think you said,
It's more than that, it's more than
10
that.
times a year, you know?
Well,
And, because how many kids do we have in this town?
well, I don't know, but, I mean, we have a lot of older people, and if they come to have their grandkids over,
Yeah.
their nieces and nephews, at least they can come to the park and play. And so it's not like, how did you just say it, but, I mean,
No, I
it's a city,
Yeah.
area, I mean, we should have a playground for the kids. I mean, we shouldn't just opt
Yeah,
them out at all. I don't care if we only get one child a week,
Right.
because the city pays the taxes, and we should provide a place for them to come and enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
What happened to our playground lady? Remember the lady that came in and was, you want to think of anything?
Yes,
She's not specialized in getting grants for playgrounds, I
Yeah.
can't remember what her name was. She was one of
Heidi.
the- She's on Facebook.
Heidi.
Yeah,
Heidi
Heidi.
Becker?
Yeah.
Heidi.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's,
She moved Petrie City.
yeah, but she'll help us out.
Yeah, she'll help.
Yeah, I definitely think, so maybe we have her out and, I don't know, do we need somebody to tell us what our options are?
Yes, we
You
definitely need that.
That would probably be a good.
Someone needs to analyze the
Use-
space and say,
Use the information they
Use
know to
here's
say,
the equipment, we could, I could
That's what I
use it out
suggest.
here because I sell it every day, and that's
Exactly.
what I would think. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
give us options. I like the idea of having like a tot.
Toddlers.
Yeah.
Love
that
Because
That's
the
a
way
great
the
idea.
slope is back there, the bathroom property, we could also, I can't remember how it looks, I ain't go by there in a while. I don't know if you can walk around it, I had the skill to go down, and maybe they can also put a bridge to get to that part.
You mean from Beckham?
Yeah, from here, I don't remember how.
Yeah, no, there's a little sidewalk now that goes
Okay, so
around the
is that-
retention pond,
So,
so
but also
it's
we
almost
should,
connected with a walking path.
I mean, we also put a little bridge over, retention pond, just to make it more attractive to get to that playground.
That'd be
I
cute,
mean,
yeah.
You make it look more like a park like it's supposed to.
Right.
This is
Exactly.
supposed to be for the family and stuff to come, and, I think that'll make it more attractive.
Yeah. I like that idea. Okay, well, I'll reach out to Heidi and see if we can get her to come over and give us all of our options and suggestions and tell us where to go.
But I ain't gonna bring mine, by the way, my grandkids, they gotta stay at the house, I don't get out the house.
Why?
They play in the yard, I stay in the house.
She's got a
Not even if there's a shady
I
area?
don't go nowhere.
My thing, when my
I
kids were
come here
little,
to y'all and I go home and go to work.
when my kids were little, I would not go to any park without like a shady spot to sit in.
I
And
mean,
most parks don't have that, they're like in the blazing sun.
They have those sunscreens now that cost a fortune to put up over them.
I mean, if we got the money, I mean, it'd be more attractive for the community and the renting.
Yeah, and if we put it in, I feel like people will come, you know?
Even if they don't, at least we have it here for
Yeah.
the ones that do wanna come.
If you have it, they'll use it.
Yeah.
If you don't, they will never miss it.
Right, and then, maybe we also can help, once they come, can maybe, I don't know, somehow attract them more to the library. Cause we have more kids coming, we can bring up the library to them and have fun there.
Especially if they do that walkway between
Yeah.
here and the library, if they do that walkway.
Well, I'd
between the
like to see it
library-
on the books for the next meeting, that we can find a contractor that'll get rid of what we got out there.
Okay.
Like you said, if you got it, they'll use it, and that's a liability to have people
That is a lot.
using right there, right now.
I agree.
You talked about having to go out there and nail nails down.
Well, what if you do and somebody falls off and then they say, oh, well, according to state standards, you guys are a government that doesn't have your,
Oh
you know,
my
you're
gosh.
offering these facilities, it's not even up to,
Right.
you know, snuff, and so,
And we've acknowledged this potential issue by talking about it today here.
yeah,
Right.
that's
So
what we
you
did.
set yourself up, where you gotta do something.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll reach out.
Now,
with
is
some
that a
quotes.
job for, are we putting that on Floyd, or who are we, who's gonna find us, you know, a demolition crew, I mean, any contract, you can go out there and take it down yourself. I'm not gonna volunteer.
I use a guy in real estate that comes and gets stuff from people's houses that
Yeah,
leave
junk
stuff.
removal might even be one.
Yeah.
With
That-
a buzzsaw.
We've got some more things to move.
We got some other
The
things.
back of that Beckham house has got culvert pipes and cement, big cement
Oh,
bodies.
yeah,
Yeah, you've got a little,
left over from where they built the retention, or?
it's left over from, it looks like the first King War. I mean, these
There's
things
a lot
are
of-
there.
There's a lot of stuff in the container too.
We have stuff,
Back there too?
we have pallet sort of stuff back here as
Got
well.
junk,
Yep.
got
Yeah.
junk can come in.
We have pallet sort of stuff back here too, so walk the property and see what it'll take to break it down and clear it out.
Yeah.
There's people online that are asking for old wood, I just saw one yesterday,
Oh.
like, I don't know if you've heard of Buy Nothing, like each town has a Buy Nothing group. So
No.
someone was asking for old wood that they're doing projects, and
Okay.
if you have it, we'll come and get it, you know, so.
Shoot, they might just take the whole thing as is and rebuild it back. They don't pay
You
no
talking
money.
about the Beckham house?
So,
No,
No,
that,
playground.
no, the play. We might can find somebody for that too.
We've got, I don't know if we still have it, but at one time, we had probably a pickup truck load of 2x4s and 1x4s in that.
They're still in
house
there.
here.
They're still in there. And what about there's
Ping pong table,
Yeah, there's everything in
There's a
there.
lot of stuff.
Yeah.
office equipment, office chairs, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
shelving, I
shelving.
mean, like, it's
a
full.
whole load of broken stuff.
Yeah. So if we get somebody to come out here and get the playground, do you want them to take the springy horses and all that too, or do we want to just take down
Let's
the
wait.
standing structure and leave the springy horses on the ground for a while?
Yeah, I think we need to remove them.
Just clear it out.
I think so.
somebody who
That's
deals
what I
with
was-
If we're gonna have to
Yeah.
anyways, I mean, if that's the
I would
path.
take everything and start fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it's gonna be a huge expenditure to lose one springy thing and replace it, you know, it may not even match what the design they come out and do. You know, a lot of towns don't do like this wood-built backyard playground stuff. If you go to like downtown Blue Ridge is one that comes to mind, it's a lot of powder-coated
Right,
metal, you know, much more weather-resistant, long-standing
definitely.
kind of stuff.
rounded edges and.
Yes,
Yeah.
Something like that would fit more of like
I agree.
town aesthetic as far as what other towns do, you know, for their play facilities. Or like Westmore, they're talking,
Yeah,
a lot of what's in the playground book. is
Right.
Familiar,
Yeah.
more modern.
We don't have Pirates of the Caribbean.
I mean, I don't want us to be
Materials-
on the hook for designing it, this seems like a
no,
mess.
heck no.
We just should spend the money, have someone come in and,
Yeah, just give us
you
our
have this
options.
space, it winds this way, we can do this here, put this here, and then
I agree.
hopefully they're already familiar with the, you know, standards and practices of, you know, playgrounds at a state
That's what
federal
they do,
level.
that's what they do for a living.
Yeah, and so just,
But the idea of getting rid of.
let's get an estimate of what it's gonna cost and make our decision off of that.
I think regardless of what we decide to do with the playground, we need to put the one we've got in the back of a big large truck and get it
Yeah.
out of
Well,
here.
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I'll work on that, this week, calling around and getting somebody out here to look at all the hauling, all the stuff off.
What about the light posts? We got some security light posts out there too.
Yeah. How many are out there?
Two,
Two.
two or three positions.
Okay.
Yep.
So question, there's been questions if we asked Dean, do you wanna use those around the parking lot, or you wanna put something new around the parking lot, or just not have anything at all around the parking lot, as far as security lights?
What were they taken down when we did
And then
when the parking lot was done?
They were never put back up, I think.
Right.
I don't think they were ever functional, at least in my time here.
Huh?
Well, I've never seen them work, but again, y'all were working in the parking lot when I got here, so,
Yeah.
you know. I don't know if they
That
were
back
ever
area
working or
doesn't
not, I
need
assume they
lit
were.
because you've got that retention pond, you've got that railroad track, that whole area back there is a safety concern. That I hate to say anybody can put anything, including human remains back there. It's pretty dark back there with the railroad tracks and you don't ever know what's going on. With things going on, I think at least having a light,
They're just light posts.
Do you think we can get Shep to look at them and see if they're operational, maybe?
Are they like, they're just laying on the ground?
Yeah, they're laying on the,
Yeah.
they're between the,
Are
between
they,
the jungle gym out there and.
Pretty close to
are they from Georgia Power, or were they ours?
I think they're ours.
Because you've got a really good contact with Georgia Power too, we could ask them if they can assist us.
Yeah.
Either
Sissy or, yeah, Shannon.
The power, light poles?
Okay.
Yeah, light poles. Are those going to the city?
I didn't
The
know.
light poles, do they belong to us?
Well, they're not.
Everything, as far as I know, all that was, they added that one time for the playground, I think, when somebody
Extra lights.
complained about it.
About not being able to
You're
see?
talking about the light at the playground?
Yeah, well, there's 2 light posts that are on the ground.
I'm pretty sure they belong to us, y'all.
Yeah, I
Could I
know
swear
that.
on
I know
Bible?
one
No,
of
I'm
them
pretty
does,
sure they're
because it was added, because somebody complained about it being dark at the playground.
Okay.
And,
We had Georgia Power come out to the pizza place and put us a power pole on, like, out in the back, you know, where the grass areas, they came out and put it on the private property, so I mean, they very well may do it for here too. I think it cost $500, and it's like one of the big ones, and it's tied into everything else.
Right, but we'll still need more lighting than that going sort of around the parking lot, is that what we're thinking?
Well, that's my question, yeah, do you wanna put lights around the parking lot?
Probably,
I don't think you would.
yeah. I would, yeah, I'm more of the mind to just scrap most of this stuff and, you know, bring it.
Start over.
Yeah.
I'll go
How much
with that.
time do we really
Do we
wanna
have-
spend?
Do we got, what
Does
kind of
this
money
work?
we talking about spending on?
Well, let's find out what we
Whatever
want to
it
do.
takes.
Whatever it takes, for playgrounds, that,
Yeah, playground lighting, just normal government stuff.
well, I know I said that, but yeah, but you still can't just go crazy over it.
Yeah, well, I
We
mean,
can find
yeah,
sponsors
to a
and stuff.
certain extent. We're not gonna break the bank putting up lights, but
Right, well,
if it's gotta be done, it's gotta be done. I don't-
yeah.
Saving old stuff, what, you get a contractor that comes out, they don't wanna use this, they have something
I
else they
agree.
recommend, you know? so
Well, and I'm
here
gonna
we
get-
held on to it, hoping they would, fingers crossed, I hope they'll like these 2 light poles, and they're
I
like,
have a
these are
good,
old, we don't wanna use these.
I have a good feeling they're left over for a reason,
Yeah,
so. Okay,
So, we're gonna see if they're gonna work, or we're gonna just trash it?
I'll just work on getting somebody out here
So we move it all.
to, yeah, getting everything out here.
Oh,
Including what's in
get rid
the,
of- get rid of-
yeah, including what's in the,
Well, also,
yeah, all the broken stuff in the
That's all right.
All right,
container.
what about the stuff that's not broken? Are we just trashing it and stuff? The stuff we don't
surplus
want?
it.
So basically, it's a bunch of signs,
What stuff that's not broken? I mean, we're talking about taking a playground that's broken, right, old wood that's broken, but what's not broken, we're talking about.
oh, that's in the container, you mean?
Ping pong table.
Yeah, well, that's broken.
The
I-
one-
long table desks, bookcases, you got a big, one of these big machines that,
The floor buffer,
Floor
fill
buffer.
buffer. You got a lot of, you just need to go through it and figure out which one to keep, which you don't. I don't know what's in there that, what y'all was, what
I
you
don't think
want
there's
stored,
anything in
you
there
want
that's
stored
worth
there
keeping.
yet. I don't know if there's anything in there that you've got that you wanna keep.
I almost never go in there because there's nothing in there that I need,
right,
right, so
And-
what's the point?
yeah,
Right,
The only thing that I can see sleeping are the metal signs that we paid for.
right, cause we might use those, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can put those,
you talking about the signs, the street signs
Yeah.
from a couple of months of discussions and
yeah,
needing the truck to change batteries every 9 days
Yes.
signs? Okay,
No.
I would say 25% of the containers Christmas stuff too. And there's, I mean, it's
Yeah.
totes and totes and totes,
right,
and probably 4 Christmas trees. I mean, it's,
We talked about that container, off and on for, 6 months. And I thought the consensus was that we wanted to keep it and put stuff in it that we wanted to keep. What we're doing now is let's get rid of the stuff we don't.
Yeah.
Make more room for the stuff.
well, if we're gonna have somebody come out and haul a bunch of stuff off, it's a perfect
Yeah,
opportunity,
that's
get it out of the
To get all that
container,
out
have them
too.
take it too.
Yeah.
yeah, get that out too.
We're not gonna rise up against you if, a couple of things went, ping pong table gets
Well,
junked that,
The thing about it is, nobody's gonna ever know, because nobody's looking for it.
Exactly.
proof. If I tell you what we found in this office, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff,
I
how
bet.
old it is.
I bet.
Yeah,
No, we found clues to Jimmy Hoffa. We're pretty sure we know who he is now.
good.
We just reacquired the cabinet in the back there from Kay,
Yeah,
the art teacher.
uh-huh,
She's been here for 30 years teaching classes. There are file boxes from 1974 in her cabinet on the top shelf.
oh boy.
And there's bricks. So I said, oh, are these bricks that you use, like fire bricks for some art project? She goes, no, they're your bricks.
What?
Oh, my bricks?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just like unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
once we get that eyesore cleaned out, we can, the next spring, we can paint the thing.
Yeah,
Paint it, so you keep it, and then y'all use it for storage, get rid of the junk. And then, while you're painting, you need to paint the back cuts
yeah,
so it doesn't
yeah.
head. And that, it's time to do that, so it's old enough to where it's, it's treated wood, but you can stain it now. I think it's probably been 6 months or a year. I think.
The container does have that grill area that's open so animals can crawl in and out, so that will have to be secured as well.
Oh, you're talking
You know,
about that?
the grilling part on the containers, the venting is all open and critters can crawl in there and stuff like that.
Oh, great.
So you wanna make sure you get some kind of wire in there so that nothing can crawl through there.
That's true.
Every time I would go in there, I'm like, oh, please don't let there be anything slithery or with a tail.
Well, that's how I go in and out of there.
So we don't have to park the land.
Make a lot of noise when you go in.
About 3 years ago, I had the.
Slither in there.
People do
Drink it.
community service. Cleaned it out once. And when they did.
Have no doubt. I actually have no doubt.
Yeah,
I mean, I have.
yeah, I don't even go to the back. I'm like, you know, I'm not on the back.
They all have to have a place to live.
That's right.
Alright,
Other thing I had for that back parking lot, two things. We've got a very attractive ditch that we had to put in. And there's 14 parking places leading up to it. And we've got 11 buffers to
okay,
keep people from going into the ditch. And we need to place those 11. I found another one over here behind the barbecue pit, so we only need one or two more. And then we need to attach them to the ground. I guess they just hammer rebar and
Yeah.
hold it. And you hammer rebar to fix them. And I think that's all we need to do as far as that goes.
Where was that at?
What are you talking? I can't hear you, Tom.
The ditch out here, in the middle of
Yes.
the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yes,
There are 14 parking places that butt up against it,
okay.
but there's nothing to keep you from driving your car into the ditch.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
saying, we've got 11 or 12 pieces of cement that fly all over the place. Place them in front of each of the
Okay.
parking
That's a good
places.
idea.
And then, we probably have to get one or two more. There's an extra one over here behind the barbecue pit, up against the building. And then that way, people don't drive their trucks into the hole. when they-
Well, it's also mismatched. The parking spaces are not equal either. I mean, some are wider and some are not, and so on. So
they do.
last year, I was actually going after quotes to have somebody come in and actually just redo the parking, restripe it, put in your ADA parking, put in those concrete buffers you're talking about. And then it sort of got jinxed with Wellsburg Station and taking the money we had allocated for that and
Right,
going over to Wellsburg. But I think we can revisit it and pick up getting somebody out here to revamp that parking lot, get your ADA parking going.
yeah.
We need to
All of
get
that
That
as
was
well.
the other thing I had was the ADA parking.
Mhm.
yeah, we need to get that done.
Well, we talked to an engineer and we can gain how many spaces?
I can't remember, it was significant. It was like 15 to 20 more spaces, I don't
Really?
remember.
Yeah, but
They wanted to, yeah.
what did they say again? Do you remember?
They were saying that at an angle is no longer optimal. They were talking about that there was a couple of different ways they could move stuff around that would get more spots.
Yeah,
15 more spots.
it was a
Something
good
like
amount.
that.
It was like,
Mhm. So I think we can pick that ball up again now that we're into a fresh year
Yeah.
and we're getting fresh funding again. I think that's when we can start picking that ball up
Yeah.
moving forward. just sort of got jinxed with, you know, here's money that you didn't anticipate spending going over there. So, I think so.
Alright, well, he brought up the pit. One time, did we talk about the barbecue pit?
About moving it?
Yeah,
You
We're
have,
getting rid of it.
you,
I think we ought to keep it, I just, we need to try to use it.
For what, historical purposes?
It hasn't been used since prior to COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and my only, and I'm the cautious one, okay? My concern with the pit is fire safety and the people that are gonna be using it. Unfortunately, if you know how they leave the facility, you would have concerns about how they would handle a fire pit and the liability of it.
Well,
well, I was thinking, if we kept it, it would be for our use to have,
Correct, if we,
we'd have some sort of, I mean,
once a year, have something. for the
yeah, like a
commission.
town celebration or a
Yeah.
DDA had
So
something
let's
going,
go,
you know,
yeah.
Yeah,
music
where
and
you
stuff
can
like
call a
that.
guy with a trailer and a barbecue, they can walk the back of his trailer and have him run out here once a year.
Come a long way.
Do
Right.
barbecue,
I think we ought
right?
to keep it.
I think it's amazing what I see, it takes up
I
good
think it should
space.
go.
I've been here since 2021, and to my knowledge, nobody's used it.
Nobody's using it,
Yeah.
I've been here
I
5 years.
don't think anybody ever asked, cause.
They do ask.
They do, but then.
Well, I
And
never,
at one
one
time
time,
it
I
was-
never asked.
Well, you can't really,
It has
I
to be
mean,
serviced.
that's a big old barbecue pit, that's more for like smoking and
Yeah.
serving large numbers of people, it's not like.
Okay.
yeah.
It was
You're not gonna be able to
service,
just-
It's not a grill.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
you
still.
just
got a grill.
This is
Yeah,
like a food
you're
truck.
not gonna get out there and just
If
be
you
a
have
grill
a food
master.
truck thing, you might wanna think like keeping the fire pit.
it was serviced back in 2019, and people would ask about it, and the going rate verbally was $50 if you wanted to have a party and use it. It wasn't in the contract, but that's what the former town clerk was gonna charge people, but nobody ever came through with it, and I think it's a fire hazard.
It is.
I had Lewis paint it when he was here painting the outside of the building, and, we looked at the structures for the counterweights and whatnot, and they're all rusted up.
Yeah,
And I don't even know if the thing is, without some work, I don't even know if the thing is functional as far as,
Yeah,
there are huge steel plates on the top that have got cables going up to pulleys, and they're counterbalances.
Mhm.
And
Right.
the idea is you pull them, you pick them up, slap your 150 chickens on there, and then close it back down again. I don't know if that
You can
even
probably
works.
hardly open that lid without,
well, it's telling us.
counterweights.
Well, it's got counters, yeah, it's
That's what I'm saying, it's designed to
Yeah,
mechanically assist you because it's so heavy, it's such a big.
yeah, I don't even know if you can rely on those pulley, those cables.
I just don't know if it fits the times that we're in to have a big barbecue pit in our middle of our parking lot.
I like it. I just think we should just offer it to use it more, and, cause I didn't know you could use it. This whole time I've been on council.
I like the idea.
I never thought it,
I
and
don't like the
then,
pits.
if we're gonna talk about
You don't?
food trucks and stuff, we ought
You're
to
right,
think
if you
about
wanna get
keeping
some
the
money.
pit for that.
You can bring it in.
Coke's Chapel used to be the primary
Right.
user on
I
it.
thought it could be a nice,
I was wondering, I couldn't remember.
vendor
Yeah,
spot,
Coke's
we have all these
Chapel,
vendors here, if it was empty, cause hey, you want the primo, gazebo over here, you have that spot instead of, maybe set up your own tent or something. For more, I don't feel that it fits the aesthetic of the town personally. I also think it's massively overkill
I
for,
think it does.
well, yeah, maybe not the direction
I
you want, yeah.
disagree on it,
Yeah.
everybody got their own opinion, so, I mean.
Well, if I had a barbecue pit in my backyard and hadn't been used in 5 years, I'm getting rid of it. That's how I see it.
See, that's, like I said, that's.
But I get that we may, at one point, may have been a barbecue.
Angie, you can be in charge of that too.
pardon?
I said you could be in charge of
We
that.
don't
I
really
don't know why
get
the
the community
church-
together for sponsored barbecues
Hey.
anymore.
No.
We need to get the community together.
A whittle.
You could call a guy with a, you could call,
Who
get
brings
a
his
pit boss
trailer.
barbecue to come out here and do
Yeah.
barbecue for you anytime, you know.
Right.
Pulls up, does it, and
And then we go pay him for using his pit when we had on.
Well, someone that's certified is not gonna use that pit if they're cooking for the public, because it's not, you know what I mean, like, you gotta have it clean.
There you go.
The Department of
understand,
Public
but-
Health and, you know,
But
inspecting
we have- We
stuff.
have never tried to really offer it. Why are we gonna sit here and say, let's get rid of it? Let's try to offer it a little bit more. Then we could go back and decide on it.
I kind of agree with what Angie said, and if you knew what the problems are with renting this place, and you have people using a fire pit,
First thing we need to do.
We can't even keep women to keeping their bathroom clean.
One thing that would make our decision for us probably very quickly is you ask your insurance carrier, how much is he gonna charge us to insure this place if he knows that there's gonna be amateurs, random public people using an open fire.
That's right.
And he's probably gonna say, well, we can add on about 10 grand a month.
Well, I got an idea, you know what, let's get some gasoline, just burn it up. Forget about it, mention it.
Well, not, I just thought, well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's true, there would have to be an additional insurance because it's that close to the building too, it's right there, so that my concern.
Oh, they definitely wouldn't let you build it there.
Pardon?
Again, right,
No.
if you went to build it now today, you can't put it right there.
Right,
100%.
correct, it's too close to the building, yeah,
yeah, you wouldn't
exactly.
want to.
Yeah, there's no way they would let you put that there. You would put it at the end of the gazebo is what most, parks and
Right,
civic areas
correct.
would do,
Yeah.
not next to your town hall entrance. But
If I had all the money in the world and I wanted to keep the thing, what I'd do is I'd put it out here between the parking lot and the road. And that slope, you come picnic tables around it, with the cover over it.
Yeah,
If you would keep it, if you can really use it, but I don't think that's in the plan.
So Coke's Chapel hasn't used it in years. Ever since they've never used it since I've been around, so
Yeah,
that's.
I've never seen it being used, that's why I'm questioning it.
They use it during the festivals, always, at least, that was just twice a year, and then occasionally in between times.
Okay.
But the festival, it was always a huge draw, but we don't have a festival now, unfortunately.
Oh, people sell chicken, barbecue chicken and hamburgers.
Pork,
You sell stuff off of it, right?
real barbecue.
so,
Oh, pig.
when was the last festival, Miss Polly, like
It's been
18
a while, it
years
was
ago?
about,
Twenty-
when Streetscapes came, the festival went away. When Streetscapes came,
Oh, I don't know what year that was.
29.
that's when they did all the decorating in the downtown, supposedly.
Cause I remember coming here, but that was when I first moved here, and that's 18 years ago. That's the last
Oh, it
time.
hasn't been that long since the festival. Streetscapes probably been 8 or 9 years.
I've been here 10, I've never.
Yeah.
It's when that everything closed down.
Well, is there any action to be taken on the barbecue pit? Other than,
That's what we moved it. I mean, we moved everything else,
Get more
the
parking
house,
spaces.
might as well move all that stuff while we're in it.
Good point.
Well, before we make a decision on that, can I change the subject?
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned ADA,
Mm-hmm.
and when they had the Christmas thing, the Winterfest thing, I came down and I noticed that there were people parking, there was anybody that's handicapped
Right.
would have had a long, long way to get to the Winterfest. And I think the handicap parking needs to be marked,
Definitely.
and I think the sooner the better. Now, the Winterfest is coming on this year, but I drove down and was gonna come through it, and I looked and saw where I'd have to park to walk down there, and I said, I don't believe we're gonna do it today, and of course I never got back.
Right.
And I just think the handicap parking here, and the library too, for that matter, needs to be tended to.
There's I think, number of parking spots you have to have.
Right.
For the area. We would need definitely one in front of the town hall, and then definitely here, and also one near the pavilion.
Right.
So we would need to have them that way, so that way people can access the town hall, the community center, and then the pavilion. Or even in front of where the gazebo is, that would be a good central place, cause they can get to the pavilion and they can get to the gazebo.
well, whoever
Depend on
comes
where your
in,
ramps are too.
Yeah,
whoever comes
Yeah,
in to
yeah.
remark the parking lot can tell you.
Right.
and there's no ramp
The
there.
DOT.
And Floyd, that goes hand in hand with what you're talking about, right?
Well, when I brought them in and got quotes,
Yeah,
I wanna say that they had earmarked, I know 2, I wanna say maybe 3
yeah.
of the parking spaces. for that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, it was designed for that.
Yeah.
What's that?
It was designed for that. I mean, whenever they did the original layout,
Right.
they had it marked.
Yeah,
We had two previously out here.
And another thing,
Yeah.
I struggle to hear. I've always, even when I was out in the audience, struggled to hear. Tom moved because he couldn't hear. At least two people from over here have asked to have things repeated. I think we could afford something so we could have comfortable hearing, even if we had me back in the audience next year. I think you need to be able to hear without straining. And it's not all that expensive, I don't think. I haven't priced it.
I have a clever idea.
What, stay home?
Let's start out by putting two people at a table instead of acting like Fauci's in here.
I'm
trying
glad
to
you
get
mentioned that.
Yes,
I had the meeting posted last time, and somebody texted me and said, why are people sitting so far apart? I texted them back, I can't get an answer to that question.
But that, I'm not being.
We can definitely sit closer together.
People at the table.
It's like we don't like each other, maybe we don't, and that's our way of showing it.
I told a lot of.
I'm joking.
Set the tables up different.
setting up the tables where there's two at a table is not an issue.
Yeah.
I've seen it this way since I've walked in the door, so I assumed that's what you guys wanted, but
You
if you wanna
can't do
compact it
it.
down, we compact it down.
This is a COVID arrangement.
I got here after COVID, it was still like this, so.
That's because it never changed back from COVID.
Okay.
You don't believe it, I got pictures.
But how did that sound?
Yeah, how did it used to be, Polly? Was it one table and then?
They had one table right here,
Yeah.
and when Blue came, he did the little side table to start with, and then when COVID came, we did all of this. But we used to all sit in a
Cozy.
group. In fact, I think the person taking the minutes, I guess it was the town clerk, kind of set off to the side a little bit. I don't even remember she had a table.
I would hope she did, but that's another issue. Okay. Well, we can always shorten it down.
So, Dina and I sat over here.
So do you remember the setup before COVID, I guess?
I got a
I
picture
do.
I'll send you, I know I got a
There's two for
picture.
each table.
Okay.
I do remember when, back in the day, it was the big heavy table.
Oh,
And-
the conference.
Yeah, it was just a big heavy table and everybody did, and then there was somebody over there. It was just right there, right there. That's it.
Right there.
And then
Brother.
that must have got moved to the back, to the mayor's office in the back. That big heavy conference table.
Probably in the container.
Well, if any of you wanna move the big heavy conference table back and forth, feel free, but I'm not. We're gonna do it with these tables. Okay.
Well, that's gone.
Let's just go half them out, take my four of them out then. That's all it is.
No, we can shorten the tables, that's not an issue. It's just what I've seen you guys do for years, so. If you wanna shorten them down, we
We
can.
sure got big problems, don't we?
We'll do that, okay.
Easy.
All right.
Make sure, Tom sit beside me.
Oh.
We can do that.
It's fine.
Hey, Tom, we found somebody who actually wants
Under
it.
the table, he's talking too much.
And I will move around because I won't give anybody opportunity.
There also used to be a nice skirt type thing that hung across the front here that looked a lot more formal and pleasing if you happen to be in the audience.
Okay.
It's probably also stuck around here somewhere.
And now the people will
It looked nice, it just looked good.
Yeah, it just looked better.
You know, to present ourselves well, don't we? Okay.
So Elizabeth, are you running the ball and the playground stuff then?
Yeah.
Is there any- we don't need to assign anything off to Floyd or anything, you just make some calls?
Yeah.
We can get that moving forward.
And how about the trash removal?
Yeah.
Well, we got,
It's all part of the same concept.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, oh,
That would be all the different,
okay, okay.
get a whole lot first so we can have it assessed,
Definitely.
for sure.
Yep. And then we can reach out. Do you? The company that did the engineering for the parking lot,
Mhm.
this was a different guy that did the engineering, but he was at the same firm that was saying that we could gain more spots. I guess we'll reach out to him and see.
Yes, the first I've heard about gaining more spots, I just heard
Yeah.
that here. So,
Let me ask you this, did we get the right amount of spots we thought we were gonna get in the beginning?
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Well, you know, they did parallel spots
Mhm.
over in Torrey,
Yeah,
and they took away the slanted spots,
Uh-huh.
like in front of the post office and the little strip of stores that they have.
Yeah.
It's awful.
oh,
You can't see coming out of the corner, like
oh,
to turn, like the cars seem like they're very much in the roadway, actually.
Mhm.
I'm surprised that, maybe they have, I don't know, have had any accidents.
Elizabeth, you know the name
I
Teresa
didn't notice
McPherson?
that.
Her husband is in this business. Parking lots,
integrate signs temporary, right?
Yeah.
But I thought they did the speed bumps, I didn't think they did.
He's calling him to come over, he's retired.
yeah,
There's
He'll live there.
guns back there, there's some
Okay.
maps of the parking lot too back.
And we're just gonna have a look at the entire thing, right, from the entrance all the way back.
yeah.
We're not just gonna restripe.
It was
one
integrated,
section.
was it integrated science
Mhm.
and engineering,
Yeah,
Brad, do you remember?
They did the parking lot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Historical Concepts is the people that said that it could be optimized, not,
okay.
it was a different firm.
yeah. Okay. The next thing is the Beckham House.
Remove it.
Yeah, I'd like to see the quotes revisited on that. I mean, we were right on the edge of having it demolished and
Yeah.
for whatever reason that didn't happen. I mean,
Why don't we proceed with that then?
we need to.
We need to.
And it's the same as the playground. A professional company should be able to come in and tell you, you know, what they're gonna do with the infrastructure and things and
Right.
haul off the debris and, you know, do the job 100% without us having to,
Babysit.
yeah, come up with our own ideas of, you know, what to do with the power lines and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
they shouldn't be running into that every day. We'll
Absolutely.
do what they recommend. But, yeah. I don't know if we can still revisit those same companies or,
I know one of them's still interested, he's a neighbor of mine, he's always like, what's up with that Beckham house? And I'm like, I don't know, man, I don't know.
yeah.
Like,
But I think we had 3 quotes originally, but
Well, you had 3 proposals.
Proposals.
They all were proposing different things.
Right.
yeah,
And the lowest proposal had the town doing most of the work.
yeah, we
Yeah.
don't want.
No.
With the disposal, not with tearing it down, but with the disposal. And so the recommendation was for the city to put out a definitive RFP as to what needed to be done. In other words, to carry the site down to graded site to be able to do something with. And that way, everybody is proposing the same thing.
Right.
So, and I think a previous individual was working on an RFP, and then it kind of got dropped, but the RFP was way over what was needed,
Yes.
for this particular thing. So I think the deal would be just, you know, like before we go back out, prepare an RFP and send it out and get definitive proposals to tear it down.
Can we just keep it simple, like removal, disposal? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, finished graded site.
yeah,
Yeah, finish
No.
it.
Ready for development, I would say. We want it left ready to be
yeah, no,
redeveloped
no,
or
nothing left
planted
on the
grass on
property.
it or whatever, yeah.
Correct.
I don't think we need to
Is
get
that-
fancy.
So is that all in your wheelhouse, Floyd, as far as,
Wow,
Yeah,
now
it's,
that-
it's,
they'll still do it.
it's not the thing that I've had a lot of practice in,
yeah,
right, on my side of it. So there is a real learning curve on my side when it comes to these things.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the concept is not beyond me, it's just more of a learning curve.
You could
more
probably
than
do it
anything.
in one day.
Yeah, for sure.
I like the idea that the fire department offered us, they do a control burn. Like
don't do
a,
that
like a,
anymore.
like a practice, where they have the fire department come in and do a training session.
I asked the chief and he said they don't,
Really?
it's too close to everything.
Mm,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
The 2 guys that came out here to do the inspection thought differently.
We've had 2 firemen who came up and said they can do a controlled burn and use it as a test. And then I have heard the others to close and they don't have any interest. I've heard 2 at Maple Street.
No, I spoke to the fire chief in Coweta, and he said it's too close.
Speaking of close, we promised the couple next door to the Beckham house that we put up green giant evergreen on the fence line.
We authorize the mayor to purchase the trees and handle all that too, though, like, they just never got done.
Yeah, I remember us talking about it.
Mhm.
I feel like we voted on it.
Yeah.
I got a couple of quotes from people.
So can that, well, does that,
I don't know what the trees are now, because I think that those quotes were a couple of years old.
yeah, does
Oh,
that,
so-
I mean, can we go ahead and do that, or do we need to wait till it's torn down?
Probably tear it down first.
Yeah.
Yeah, tear down first, do that.
Just so there's no,
Because you might.
You don't want to plant the trees, then have them come down to
yeah,
demolition.
equipment, oh, we actually need to remove 2 trees to get this equipment through or get it out.
I got a yes or no question. Do we wanna address the telephone pole in the middle of the new parking, or the middle of the new sidewalk?
That's another ADA thing. There's a telephone pole in the middle of a 3-foot wide sidewalk. Brand new sidewalk.
It was ambitious of us.
It was what?
Ambitious of us. It was a good idea at the time.
Where?
Guess I'll never understand that.
In the middle of
The new
not in
sidewalk
a circle?
out front, out here, down towards the Beckham house. There's a new sidewalk and with a telephone pole in the middle.
Yeah, they built the sidewalk all around the telephone pole or vice versa or something.
As part of the playground, we could have a zip line from that pole out.
That'd be so much fun.
That would be a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
This one knows all about zip lines.
Yeah.
I don't think that telephone
Don't let
pole,
Tom put up the zip line, okay, cause it's not gonna be safety approved. People will fall to their death.
But not to the.
There are some
Not
people-
die.
there are some
Just-
people I wouldn't mind if they fell, I just don't want them to
Just
die.
break ribs, not die.
But if they can fall and bust a limb or something, that'd be okay.
Yes.
The day before they get married.
But that telephone pole is Georgia Power pole, I would think, so I would think it would probably be them having to come and pick it up and move it, I guess. Get it out of there, and then we rebuild the sidewalk.
Or we just reroute the sidewalk around it.
Or that, but
That sounds so simple, it's a lot simpler.
I don't know, because the way that sidewalk is, I don't know, there's a reason they went around it, and I think it's
That's a good
all.
question. We want to just leave it alone, or we want to address it.
Moving the sidewalk around it, I think is probably the simple answer too, but, you know,
Do it right.
bust it up, we gotta do it right though. Where did that even happen, or when did that happen, guys, you know?
That, whenever we did all this out here.
They just did it that
Because we
way.
had them repair the sidewalk, and repair where the stump, where the bricks had been, knocked into the ditch, into the, what do you call it?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, bust up the sidewalk and move it or something.
Seriously, you could do it, you could address it now, you could wait till you do the back on the property and, you could just wait till somebody complains, and then there's a host of ways to approach it. I mean, something like that is not unusual to see in a town. It happens.
I don't know, that was the first I ever saw it, so.
It's unbelievable.
Well, I gotta get rid of that.
Okay, guys, we got 27 minutes left.
Okay, so should we move on to, community revitalization, food trucks?
Okay. I went ahead and contacted at least, 15 vendors. Out of the 15 vendors, there were, 5 that were no longer in service. I received a lot of this information from, Monica from Team Hungry. The minimum, I've got the little stats there for you, the number of people that actually answered. I have 4, menus that I've received. There is pretty much a minimum. There is a couple of them that would say they would come out once or twice and not charge a minimum, but they would prefer to, of course, they have to pay for their food and everything else. The minimum amount is $200 to have, for them to make. It was 30 to 50 people, and I had one guy that was $1,000. And if you didn't we didn't make $1,000, the town would have to make the difference up. So that's how it goes. Email was sent to 7 vendors and I've got 4 back. I did talk to the gal who is involved in Bay County in regards to the food truck, and she sent me the form and the kind of licensure, like the food licensure. Now, one of the vendors that I contacted and emailed me back, she actually did have her health code, health report from the health department and licensure and stuff. She included that in her packet when she sent that to me. So that's in here. I only made 1 copy, y'all can check it out. And that's pretty much what I have to say in regards to that. We will have to consider doing a lot of social media, maybe even doing the newspaper if we're gonna go through this. My suggestion is that we look at starting in March through September, October, Fridays from 7 to 9, from 4 to 7, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. to hit the lunch group. And I'm also suggesting the first Friday of the month. That way, we could do it without interruption with the community center activities on Saturday and Sunday. If we do it during the week, we do not get enough traffic to be able to, I think, sustain someone. I think if we do it on a Friday night, and people are gonna be coming home from work, and we might get a little more foot traffic, especially if you're considering on wanting to do other activities such as music or movie night or something else. I know that we I've been told that we will have some volunteers to clean up. That still does not relieve the staff from being responsible and being on call if anything happens. And I know it sounds like nothing can happen, but somebody can fall in the parking lot, the bathroom can get stopped up, something can happen. Trust me, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. And I've been here now long enough, and we've all been here long enough to know that if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. So therefore, there will have to be somebody on call or here to make sure that everything is cleaned and supervise, make sure that the people who are cleaning actually clean it the way it needs to be done in order for it to be ready for rental for the weekend. Because
Will this community center,
the community center will not, but you have to make sure that there's no trash on the grounds. Right. You have to make sure all the trash is thrown out, that there's no litter, that the bathrooms have toilet paper, we have to make sure that there's enough toilet paper for the next activity. We don't, because what if we have Team Hungry the next day? There is no period of time to replace everything and make sure everything is clean before they come in. And we try to make sure that we expect them to leave it clean, so we want to make sure that it's clean after the event. So those are my suggestions.
When you say the event, what is the event? Just having a food truck here?
The food trucks.
That's
Now,
it,
we do have food trucks that do just lemonade and drinks, so we could actually have 2 food trucks. We could have like the Rontina gal here, doing her food, and then have the lemonade gal come in. So we could actually combine, more than 1 food truck with a drink and food. So we can do those kind of, we have a coffee person. We could have someone who does ice cream, so that we can have 2 or 3 trucks. A margarita one would be really good, but I'm sorry, I had to grass on that one.
It's a fun idea, but some of the issues I feel like with food trucks especially, if they come out here and they don't make the money, you're not seeing that food truck vendor again.
Exactly.
And then they'll also tell the other food trucks, don't go out there, you don't make any money.
Exactly.
And we'll be 2, events in, and no one will wanna come out here anymore, so.
Right. And
Having concurrent activities is, vital to, I just don't see, I think my wife and I we had a hibachi food truck here for some reason, like years ago when we first moved here. And that was cool, and we came just to support it, but we're not gonna come you know, every other month, because we were just like, all right, yeah, we got dinner and we went home, you know.
Right.
So
Just,
what's the purpose in the first place?
I was just tasked to do this.
Okay.
Okay.
This
so
came
my-
up at the last meeting whenever it was brought about, maybe
Yeah,
a thing to do for the town presidents.
Right.
I brought it up at the meeting, but, trying to figure out something to do for the residents of the people in the surrounding area. And I knew that Turin, I made a mistake at the time, it does not belong to Turin, it's a privately owned company that actually had a great big write-up in the paper,
Right.
this past week about the food truck in Turin, or the park, or whatever they call it. And I just thought it would be a way to, call attention to ourselves and to have something in the area that people might enjoy coming to be here. And I needed to clarify, I was thinking at the time that if people came here to eat, you've also got this nice sitting area that they could come, and finding out it may have to be rented, so that kind of threw a
No,
wrench
that's
in
not
that.
gonna be it.
But anyway, just something happening
Right.
in the town
Right.
Well, I would think.
to get attention, and it'll get us right up in the
And
paper.
to be honest, that there's even more, cause I went through this with the 150th. I came in August, and Blue said to me, in December, we wanna have the 150th, and oh, by the way, we're gonna do it the whole week and not just a weekend. So that meant that I had to get a food truck for every single day. Now, like I said, I came in August, this is the first weekend in December that I had to put all this together. Not a whole lot, I didn't do my job. So it was challenging, and to be honest, the thing that was hard is not only the minimum, as you say, from personal experience, is people not showing up.
Yeah.
You have a food truck and people don't show up. We were lucky that the people over in Longhorn, in Peachtree City, we had a food truck that did not show up. And I called her and I said, is there any way we can get meals? She said yes, remember, and she brought tons of food for us to sell and gave us the rest of it for anybody else who
Well,
needed
there's no way
food.
to predict who's coming.
So, I mean, that was the experience, but the thing was that if we didn't have that, we would not have had food for people. So when we say we're gonna have food trucks, that was a prime example of where we would have been with egg in our face because we didn't even have anybody. And it was a last minute thing, and by the grace of God, that lady came in and brought food. I mean, she lined up the whole counter with food.
Well, maybe some other idea, I'm not opposed, that's just one thing I
Well, I
have to
would
think
think-
of.
I think
Maybe-
it's-
I just think it needs to be something
Go ahead.
I mean,
attractive for the residents. What would we
I
do
think
for the residents?
movie night
That's probably
or,
supposed to
you know,
be here.
you do a movie in the park or
I like
live,
that idea. I see
live
that's
music,
next on the
and then you
agenda. That's a
know,
good
put a food
idea.
truck or two, I think that's.
Good idea.
Or have somebody come in and, like, give them a concession, just like that concession with drive. Let somebody have, set up a concession, not necessarily a food truck, but let pizza folks, bring slices of pizza over here. And have some concession available for people watching the music or watching the movie or whatever. But you need to have a draw, and the food is just a secondary thing. People aren't gonna come over here to eat at the food truck.
Right.
Not
They're doing it
50
in
or
Turin.
60 people.
A handful of
They're
people
actually-
like that.
They're doing it in Turin.
Well, the Turin, I
But
talked
I
to,
forget that, I'll drop it, if that's not a good idea, forget it.
I don't think it's a bad idea, it's a good idea for discussion, but the Turin Food Park, I've heard from mixed reviews from their vendors, a lot of them aren't feeling too gung-ho about it anymore as like a staple like they were before, because again,
Well,
they're not,
things
making the
change,
money,
maybe you're right,
but-
I don't know that.
but I mean, I'm not trying to shut down your idea personally, I think it's a good idea, I just think what we were saying about if you build it, like the playground, if you build it, they would come, I think it's really more like, if you build it and advertise and market the hell out of it,
Yeah.
then somebody will come, but
And that's a
if you just,
full-time job.
if you just do it and it's not marketed, then,
I agree.
These
Yeah.
people are really excited to come and really want to do this, so I was thankful that we at least got people, I got a lot more positive people wanting to do part of it than not. But again, the amount of money that it costs for them to come out, we have to make it worth their while too, cause they have to prep and buy all this food, and if they don't sell it, they're stuck with it.
Yeah.
So that we have to take that into consideration.
What about the pizza place here in town. And what about the coffee?
She would love to do something like that. If you did some type of movie and pizza in the park and say they just called the number and they could either pick a pepperoni or cheese pizza and they delivered it down here, because the problem with having the pizza down here, there's no warmers. You can only leave a pizza being warm for so long. So they could, it's so close they could run it. But I can tell you from the Winterfest, the food trucks, because it was spread out over multiple days instead of just the one, the year before, the food trucks did great because we had everybody compiled in one day. But then when we spread it out, I think the 404 Celsius said that they did like high 700s, low 800s, which is not, when you think about it, when you're bringing staff, coming down here, running a generator, bringing food, I mean, food costs most of them is half, so they didn't make that much money. And you have to create something else to bring them. The food truck itself is not going to, but it's definitely a great byproduct, because they're not going to bring their own customers.
Right.
You're going to have to create their customers. And so think we had skaters still every 30 minutes, and that's and a whole jam-packed day of people. I mean, there was constantly flow. I mean, you saw how many people were here, and they only did $800. I mean, that's not a lot for a business to come down. But I think definitely the movie, like if that was, the thing is too, is you run out of, you almost have, it's like, then do you sell tickets or do people show up? Because the parking lot's not that big either. You can really only hold, I think, is it 70 parking spots, just so I know?
It's for the residents.
Oh yeah, for the residents, yeah, because for the residents, they'll walk.
they just walk
Right.
over.
Yeah, but
But
I
the
mean,
thing
like,
is
Holly's
that
not
the
gonna walk
number
over her
of,
house.
in past experiences, the number of residents that live within the town of Sharpsburg don't show up. I hate to say that, but they don't. When I've come to events here, when we did the 150th, nobody from this area showed up, other than the exception of that gentleman that lives down the street. He's a historian, he's been here for 100 years, he knows all the history. I can't remember, he was an attorney, I think. And he was the only one that was, from the residents that were within here. Nobody from the Stovall apartments or anybody up and down Main Street showed up. So,
I was at home asleep.
pardon?
I was at home asleep. Yeah, I was just saying, making a point, yeah, we don't show up, I mean.
No, and I'm saying the people that live across the street. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just saying the people across the street don't even show up, don't even come over. And so we have to, yes.
No, I have a question for you, April, with the DDA. Is that something you'd be involved with or
The movie
interested in, like movie night, like a next project outside of the Winterfest?
So we have some next projects on the horizon.
Okay.
I'll share them in the public comment section. I'm trying to.
Okay.
I'll update y'all with that. But we've got some other stuff in the horizon, so we wouldn't want to own anything like that right now because we have some economic development like avenues happening, as well as a couple of. So we have like two facets that are going in tandem. So I wouldn't want to own that, and I don't think anybody else would right now either.
And and the thing is that regardless of whether we do a movie night with the dinner or the pizza, we still will have to have a staff person either present to make sure everything is clean or on call in case of anything breaking down. Especially if we're going to be doing pizza in here, and now we're looking at the floor, the bathrooms, and the hand washing paper towels and all that other stuff that needs to be replaced before Saturday morning's event. So that's going to be a problem. I don't mean a problem. That is something that is an added responsibility.
So yeah, they're not going to bring pizza in here. They're going to deliver it directly.
Okay.
They can deliver it directly from the pizza place to their
But
like
that's a big
person.
consideration, because then you're talking about salaries and budgets, and right now we're not built that way, where you say, okay, Angie, you're on this weekend, Julie, you're on next weekend.
Exactly.
You know, to take that
Right.
on.
Well, how many volunteers did y'all have that want to do the food truck thing? That's something that you could partner with them to do.
But it's
I
still,
interrupt this. This sounds like not a good idea. Why don't we move on to the movies?
Well, I mean, we'll still need the volunteers from the food trucks, to be able to do the movies. Will those volunteers shift from one to the other? So that way it wouldn't fall on the burden of the staff?
I give up. I don't know.
We don't know, what?
I don't like the idea of staff, I don't like the idea of,
Somebody else said movies.
I don't like the idea of us having some kind of function, whether it be movies or music out there at the gazebo or whatever it is. I don't like the idea of it, whether we do it or not, be determined by whether or not the staff is gonna clean up the bathroom. hire it done.
Or,
Amen.
We're being on call.
exactly, or planning it and being involved, yeah, it's just not,
Well, right now, the way it's working or not working is, most of it falls on him,
right.
on Floyd.
What's wrong with that?
Ask Floyd.
Yeah.
No, like the Sunday that the, air conditioning unit froze over,
Right.
I came because I happened to be parked next to him at church, so
Yeah.
I came to relieve him because he had plans, holiday
Yeah.
plans with his family. So it's not only, it's not conducive to the way we're set up here.
Right.
I mean, it's not like I wouldn't help Floyd out, or
Right.
Angie wouldn't help Floyd out. It's just, I don't know. I mean, he's salaried, we're not, so
Right.
you're eating budget that we're not budgeted for either,
Right,
so.
right.
There's a lot of factors.
I purposely don't use my maximum number of hours that I'm allotted to work, which is 17 hours. I actually do less because I don't ever know if I'm gonna have to come over on the weekend. And so I actually save some time so that I have that time, just in case I have to come in for something. And if I don't have it, then I'm under the time, but if I have to come in, then hopefully I'm not too much over the allotted time.
And
So I
then,
have to guide that in order to be able to be available on the weekend. which
and
I
then
can.
another thing too is my husband came out. He came and he was able to, he said, get that box unlocked and pull the fuse out of it. So it stopped the fan that was running, that
Right.
kept it frozen.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have known that.
me either.
So that was a good thing that he did, but
Right,
God bless him for
Yeah.
right.
being a cooperative spouse.
He's a good
But it's a lot, and most of it, like I said, is on Floyd.
Yeah.
That's the barbecue roof. It scared the goodness out of me when
Yeah,
I was
that
here at
barbecue
dark,
roof
like
is
by
my-
myself,
it needs to-
and I was like, oh my god, somebody's, it's one of the
Okay, guys,
roof
9
units
minutes.
loose.
9 minutes for your regular
So-
meeting.
Can I volunteer to do some research on the movie nights? And I think I might have a solution for someone that might wanna oversee it and all that jazz, so that way it doesn't fall on the staff. Can I'm not saying the DD will own it, but let me do a little bit of legwork and see what.
Well, I think the whole project, if you want it to happen, somebody's gonna have to take the ball and make it happen, just like anything. No one's willing to do that, it just won't happen. I mean, good ideas
I think I
are
have
not
someone that
worth
might wanna do
anything
it.
if they're not implemented, so.
I'm gonna ask Kathleen that owns the restaurant if that's something that because they're looking, I mean, they're always looking at, that would be an avenue for them to have additional business
Yeah.
monthly that they can, that
Yeah,
if,
and then we could do a trial run and see
Yes.
if people turn out and
Yes.
it works, and if it
Yeah.
does, then maybe somebody wants to take it over and,
Yeah.
be a part of it every month and.
well, if we partner with them on it, she could probably, like I said, have someone down here, so
Yeah.
I'll get with her to see if you can.
That's true,
Explore
yeah,
the
if it's
avenue.
lucrative enough.
That's
they
what I'm
can
saying,
stand their own,
yeah.
they can bring
It's
their
basically an
staff and
expansion
all
of
that.
their backyard area, it's just coming down here.
Yeah.
But remember, there's still gonna have to be somebody here,
That's what I'm
somebody
saying.
responsible
Yeah.
on the
That's-
phone, just in
That's
case,
okay.
yeah.
That's good, I'll figure it
But
out.
if it's a good big turnout for the town, I mean, we could pay staff to be here, or something like that, it's just
We could try it.
dead in the water,
Yeah, we
it's not
can.
worth spending the money on, but
Exactly.
That'd be a
No, that's
fun,
not a
uh,
problem.
there's nothing wrong with doing a trial run, it's just.
Well, if we make it a family
There has
friendly
to be a
thing,
strong
yes.
will behind these things to make them happen,
Sure.
no one has the will to do it.
It's a lot of work
It's
too.
a lot of
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
It's one thing to plan them and think about it, but it's something else altogether to execute.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can testify to that.
I would love to see a food truck here, if they come and have a bad experience, they will badmouth you to other food
And we
trucks.
don't want that,
And they
yeah.
also will not come back, so
Yeah.
Correct.
you could really start off on a bad foot by, making big promises to these food trucks, and they come out and they think, okay, so we know how Sharpsburg
Right.
treats us if we come through, so you wanna be careful about that, so that we can be successful.
I don't necessarily think,
Continue on.
I don't think necessarily you're saying it, but I don't like the idea, I don't go along with the idea of having a food truck for the sake of having a food truck. I don't see any purpose in it.
Yeah,
Now, if you're supporting a movie night or supporting, music on the gazebo, that's something else.
agreed.
But just having 4 or 5 trucks show up to compete with these people over here in Turin or the pizza place, I don't see it. I just don't see it.
We need a tandem event for sure.
And even if you have, starting out, if you have a tandem event, if you have a primary draw, and then you have, let the food truck be secondary, and you may not even need a food truck. Maybe what you have is a guy with a barbecue pit. Maybe you have, like some pizza place, you know, on call.
So should we move on to the next thing? Do we wanna so,
We've got 6 minutes.
okay, 6 minutes. Nothing on old business, public comments?
I mean, I can save this for the town council meeting, if anybody else got something to do for the work session.
It's just,
I don't think.
I think we're basically at
Yeah.
the end point here. So I would just say, call this as a meeting, get up,
Okay.
stretch for 5 minutes and come back to your council meeting.
Okay, do we need a vote? We don't need a motion, no, okay, alright.
Yeah. At least.
Feels like we're taking down the back of the Feels like we're taking down the back.
If we try
It is.
Oh, there are Facebook.
I'll pull it out, we'll make it.
Let's make it simple. Where my personal concern is, RFP process, that sort of thing. We'll work it out.
And the fact of the matter is, if
We'll work it out.
I think you should put a projector.
maybe I would
Maybe send it to somebody else.
Summer nights, and watch a movie, I think
I'll tell you what, I mean, they can do without, but I don't know what, we want to, if it's a judgment. Would there be, with the health department, because, you know,
You just have a hard time
they can say
finding
about that.
someone to
Because long gone are the days where
I don't even know what the
philanthropic,
somebody has to be delegated.
philanthropic organizations have set up themselves.
You know, and somebody has to tie it all together.
It would get tired, and I get it, but it's
Projectors
just
set up, advertise them.
and just trying that.
Well, it depends on your,
This
the
and
lifestyle,
that,
you let
but
it, you know, like me, I already run to.
it costs me
A lot of it.
just to have a business. Just to have a business, not to, you know, it's just, it's crazy.
Even when I was yeah, in my shop. Yeah, it'll be shares. Yeah. See my little building out there, right? Attach a building and, yeah.
No, it's not something.
I built it out. We already fixed cars in the shop.
She probably just
Well, we have a facility. Not many of the cars that we purchased. We buy them. They all need custom So we just work for ourselves and all business cards.
You're talking about, but how much money did I just soft and comfortable in your seat, because these horses they're working horses, so they all get down to whether they want to or not. And so you have to be, this way, have to be, like, sometimes people drop their reins and then horse do it.
Was in the
That's how, like, cows are.
But it's, you know, when you're talking about food, you're talking about you're talking about, there's a certain kind of shit that they do before they ever show up. Because they can't cook everything. You're gonna have to be not enough time.
It kind of tumbled downhill from there to.
No, but I know.
15 years later.
I was like 9. Yeah, I have an Appaloosa for 3 years.
But again, so that's why I see the problems of things like, you know, trying to think of it from a business owner standpoint. It's like, what you don't want to do is try to do something and it's such a failure that you shot yourself in the foot and no one wants to. Right. But then to try it, you have to have someone who's gung ho, who's like April does with the Christmas party. You have to have somebody excited about it, you know, to set it all up.
Go big.
Well, who's gonna
thinking.
Who's gonna coordinate and set up the street? Get the vendors. Yeah,
The small little classes.
well,
Well,
right, no, but I don't think a food truck works without a different, you know, draw to get people. Like, oh, there's an interesting thing to do in Sharpsburg.
on this
We're
one,
gonna take the kids to see a movie, we'll get dinner while we're there.
is,
Food and entertainment
So
come in and
I
say,
think different, I'm thinking, when am I gonna get something to eat tonight with that cooking?
yeah, yeah, but then what happens is they come down and visit the food truck and they just go home.
Well, yeah, we're gonna do that. I do that
And
everywhere.
not as many people will turn out because they'll just
and
go
they
to the
removed
movies.
that 3:30
Something like that.
Probably,
Yeah.
yes, they want to.
Right.
Right now, I'd kill for a food truck that sold nothing but hot dogs.
Well, that's what they were just saying, what about the Boy Scouts as a philanthropic organization, doing a hot dog thing or something, but
That might be an idea for you. I'm serious.
So that's one of the one.
Get a hot dog cart.
But then you got environmental health that's gonna be involved in it.
That's,
They
they prove it in
She was
science.
talking to me too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What'd you say,
No,
Sharon?
I was just saying, environmental health department, you know, has their, long gone are the days where like the Boy Scouts could probably come and just set up and
Oh,
do, you
yeah.
know, something
And
as
do
their hours
concessions.
and whatever,
Yeah.
and whatever, because especially on government property.
Yeah.
And then, you know, a government sponsored event, and then the government's gonna have their hand in it. So it's just, it's,
It would be like, if we had a city manager or something, we could do a lot more of this stuff, you know? If we had, like Brooks as a city manager, they pay, they pay him a lot of money. They don't do anything, but
Most people.
they got a good old budget
Even
too.
Gordon's got
For
it.
their size of town, they got a nice budget. You know, and that's what I'm harping on, is that we don't have a personnel, a person in place that's willing to spend their time to coordinate all this to make it happen. And that's what it takes, you know?
So we need a city manager.
Instead of going up and trying, what I'm,
He's not the manager.
well, he's the clerk.
No, he's got two names.
No,
He's the
I've got two.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, but
that's
I'm
not-
wearing about 400 hats on
I know, that's what I'm saying, so we
Yeah.
can't like, all the good ideas start with people, so instead of trying to go find a food truck and find an event, you gotta go find a motivated person who will take your idea and run with it.
We don't hire
So that's who
somebody.
you have to sell, the idea.
Well, that's the way they've been doing it.
My mom.
Just get April.
What do you want?
So ideally, if the economic
What do you want
development
to
works
offer?
correctly in the next 2, 5, 10 years, and it's not gonna take that long, then most other DDAs at Fayetteville and Newnan included have what's called a Main Street program. And they
You
hire a
have to
Main
have
Street
500 people to
manager.
do that though, don't you?
Well, you have to have economic development. So it's like, what are they coming down
You have to have
here to
500 people, and that's the last time I looked, residents of
You go
500
catch, you
people.
go
do?
fish
To have
it
Main
through the
Street
12 parts.
program?
Get
The
them
last time I
annexed in.
checked, now they may have changed that.
I'll text her and ask
Cause
her.
I tried really hard, but
Right.
last time I was in office to get hooked up with Main Street.
But, well, so I just got a mentor phone call today for the Main Street person that's of Warrenton, Georgia. I'm doing a mentorship for the DDA through the Georgia Downtown Association. And he's the Main Street person for his city, or for Warrenton, and then he also is the Main Street person for 2 other little towns that are the same size as Sharpsburg. They like subcontract to him to organize 2 events a year.
They may have changed that number then, because it's been probably 4 or 5 years since I checked.
But the only thing is to, so I talked to Lynn, you know, right now, she's the only viable business in downtown. With Betty the art place, and she said she didn't get one person walking in her door from, whether from the market from, what's it called, Team Hungry, nor the Winterfest. And she was open. Nobody, they don't find their way from here to up there. So like, what's gonna make her business
That's
thrive?
exactly what I've been talking about for 5 years.
So even if you have food trucks here, it's not gonna encourage her business. Other businesses besides her business are more, so like, there was gonna be a music person that moved in where the retail.
So right now,
area
we're moving the playground, so you know, the house, the kids,
Because he makes it control. But you're not gonna get control if he get a no bill.
Scratch the parking lot.
So they should have known
make
better.
sure you get handicapped.
Still, we need other businesses.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more.
Something else.
But how you do that is, where are they gonna move into?
Yeah, those
There's no space right now on Main Street for a new business and new biz, because the locations there don't have, like, you don't have control heat.
They're tearing down Main Street and building you out.
We have to.
Well, they're not willing, the property owner's not willing.
Alright, y'all, I gotta go home.
Okay. Make it fast.
We're gonna call the meeting to order. Start with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, do we have a quorum?
We still do.
Alright, so, we're not looking on presentations. The review and approval of the minutes for the December 2nd, 2024 meeting, and it's the minutes of,
You have a separate set of minutes I put in
Yeah.
for you. The separate set are a corrected set.
Could you tell me what part was corrected?
Under the portion where, toward the end of the minutes, I want to say second page, where Polly was speaking of the food trucks. The original part did not say that she wanted to do it on behalf of the town residents. The new one does.
Okay.
I move that be accepted.
okay, Polly made a motion to accept, who was second?
Second.
Alex, second, all in favor? Unanimous, alright. The next item is public hearing, the second reading of the resolution to adopt the budget, the 2025 budget.
Yeah, I've got a question. It says you're gonna amend the budget. What's gonna be changed?
All right, so amending the budget is different than adopting your 25 budget. So you have two actions happening. You're adopting, first of all, your 2025 budget. That's what we're currently on. The amending of the budget is for your 2024 budget.
Oh, I remember reading that now, I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
Yes, ma'am. But I will say this, when we had our first reading, you'll recall that I said, as we go through the month of December, I may have a couple of tweaks here and there.
Yeah.
I did, but they were non-material. They were just $100 here, 100 less there. It's essentially the same numbers, just a little bit different in some of the categories. But it's essentially the same thing you had from last month. I did ask for input from council. I did not receive any additional, so I'm assuming that means you guys agreed with me the first time. So that's where we are.
Okay, do we take action on this, or we,
Yes, you need to vote to approve
okay,
you have to approve the budget.
But just a second reading.
yeah.
And of course, approving the budget, you see the write-up, of course, is gonna be, pay increases for staff across the board. It's a couple of pay increases, cost increases for, insurance is gonna be one of them. There's just a cost of everything rises, and so, but these are things we covered at the last meeting as well.
Well, I'll move that we adopt the resolution for the 25 budget.
Alright, so we have a motion to accept the budget, the 2025 budget.
Second.
Tom, second. All
Can I
in-
make a comment
Sure.
before we vote?
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna vote yes, but I've got two things that bother me. One of them is money for the DDA. It may be that I didn't ask enough questions, but I would like to know how the money's been spent that was spent last year and the proposal for the coming year, what those funds would be used for. That's the main, I'll just drop, that's the main thing I've got questions about.
Okay, so do we need to wait for public comments for April to, talk on behalf of the DDA, or what do we need to do?
You already have a motion on the table.
You already have a motion on the table,
Okay, so,
but you can take that up at the end.
okay,
Mine is just a comment, I'm not gonna vote against it.
okay,
And the
Alright, so-
second one,
Oh, that's
said
good
that
enough,
too.
that'll work.
okay,
alright, so,
is that it? The
Tom?
motion?
Tom seconded,
So
right?
Tom seconded, so Alex made the motion to approve, Tom seconded.
Yeah, all in favor? Alright,
Okay,
unanimous?
vote. All right, based on that, don't any of you leave until, you get signatures. I need signatures from all of you. Okay.
First item on the new business is the resolution to amend the 2024 budget,
Okay.
pages 17 through 19.
I move we amend the 24 budget.
Okay,
Okay.
Polly, made a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Alex has a second, all in favor? Unanimous? Alright, the second item is setting the qualification fees for the November 4th, 2025 general election on pages 20 through 24.
I move we accept the resolution.
Alright, Polly made a motion to accept, do we have a second?
Yeah, second it.
Tom second, all in favor? Unanimous? The next item is the disposal of the surplus equipment, pages 25 through 27.
I move we accept the resolution.
Alright, Polly made a motion, do we have a second? These were the fans,
Yeah, second.
Cynthia second, okay. All in favor, Cynthia second,
Okay.
unanimous? The next item is the consideration to approve the final subdivision plat for 12 Parks as the lots located within the town limits, and to accept the roadway and infrastructure as to that portion of Keown Loop located within the town limits on pages 28 through 31.
And I'm gonna ask Brad to fill in, he's been working on it.
Perfect.
If there are any questions, I don't know, I mean, most of you have been on and off while the 12 parks was going on. There was a certain tract of that land that essentially it was the lots that are identified on the plat. There's about 11 lots that are actually located within the town limits. We went through rezoning and adopted the overall plan for 12 parks. And so this is, 3 years, 4 years later now that they've got it subdivided, ready to begin construction. And this is the final plat. Now the motion would be to approve it with the way that it's drawn up here, subject to approval by Cayuga County.
Right.
Because Cayuga County is gonna approve it Thursday night after we've approved it tonight.
Is there any big changes in it?
No.
All right, so we need a motion to approve,
Subject to
Subject.
approval by county.
subject to approval by Coweta County.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Tom made a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Polly second, all in favor? Unanimous. The next item is the consideration for repairs to the community center on pages 32 to 33.
If anybody has any questions about this, I can answer them.
And given the nature of the quote, when I look at the procurement policy, it says where it's practical, go out for 3 quotes, but if it's expected to be over $10,000. In this case, with a quote of $1,185, and with Luis having already come in here and done the work, so he knows the building and the layout and the paint schemes and all that, it just seems to me the practical thing to do is just go ahead and say, Luis, come and do it. The only thing I may caveat to that is as we bring the new flooring into the town hall area, there may be other repairs that need to be made then, so do we wanna just do it now and here, then possibly go to town hall later, or do we just wanna hold off and get one big fell swoop either way? But at the end of the day, I think that it's a practical solution to go ahead and bring the guy who's already done it and have him fix it.
I say we get him to go ahead and do it, and then if there's other things we need to add, we can have him back.
Yeah.
That way we get it done and it's off our plate.
Sounds fine to me.
I don't wanna be talking about this a year from now.
Exactly,
Oh, Lord, yeah.
exactly. Well, I don't want this to be a year from now, but if we're gonna bring it out here, maybe just have him come out here once instead of twice, but either way, I'm good with this whole thing.
Yeah, he won't mind.
This is a fill-in project for him,
Yeah.
Okay.
so it's not a matter of, he can come in and out, in and out, in and out.
Alright, well,
All right,
that's my recommendation, go for it.
all right, so we need a motion.
I'll make the motion to let Lewis do it.
Okay, so Tom made a motion, Polly second, all in favor? Unanimous. All right. Old business?
None.
No, don't think we have anything. Public comments.
That was fast.
Double duty tonight.
I talked to Brad, I think at the end of last year, about the DDA's budget. We just have to present it to council. We don't have to, it's not the same budget-wise as y'all's, that you have to do paper notifications and readings on jazz. Our recording secretary is going to, we're gonna have a work session in 2 weeks, just because we still had a lot to complete and to get together from the end of the year, like the different things that cost, different stuff. So we'll have a budget to present to council, I'm hoping at the February session. Are you trying to turn that camera all the way? I could've just stood up, Polly. So the DDA will have a budget to present, Polly, at the February meeting. Like I said, we've got a work session in 2 weeks that we're gonna put out notification, and we're gonna have all the things honed in, cause we've got a couple of things we're changing for this coming year, as far as the Winterfest and some other ideas that are percolating. We also voted today to increase our secretary's income. She is now going to take over our social media for the DDA. And 3 times a month she's going to post once about our meeting, and then she's also going to highlight a business each month that's in the downtown area. We've also had the lady that runs the Life in the Berg page reached out to me and Elizabeth and wants us to take over that page on Facebook, so we're hoping to kind of between the DDA page and the Life in the Berg page create more of an awareness and involvement through that. And then there was also some we kind of brainstormed today, and then we'll continue at our work session on how can we encourage and support the local businesses. How do we help them get foot traffic? Because right now we can't force businesses into downtown, right? So we talked about the DDA is dabbling and discussing with the art teacher. I was messaging with her that the DDA is going to see what it would cost for us to host a paint day for her, like for her business, and invite first-time customers to come and paint for free, and that the DDA would sponsor that, because that would get foot traffic into her business, right? We also talked about doing some different contests with some of the local businesses, like the coffee place, the pizza place, just trying to help the locations that do need foot traffic. The DDA is also in the process right now. I have a meeting next week about some different pricing and quotes for just a sewer plan to be able to present to council. That's going to be costly, so some of the money that the council gives the DDA, I'm sure some of that's going to be going to that. That's one of the things we're going to talk about. This is just a meeting to get a quote for what the quote would be for the master service sewer plan, because obviously it would take engineering to get that plan together. So we're working on that too. We're also in the process of getting prices for design guideline updates. That's something else that's going to be costly. We have recouped, we've raised some of our own money through Winterfest, and we also have recouped most all expenditures that we spent on there. We have almost every dollar that's ever been given to us, because we want to spend that money on economic development, not entertainment. We're okay with spending some of it for entertainment and to like I said, encourage the local businesses, but economic development is a long game. We've got a long way to go, long way to get there. So we want to use the funds that have been given to us graciously from the council on long-term goals, not just one-off situations. So hopefully I'll be able to share some more of what those pieces look like in February, because we've got some prices coming in over the next couple of weeks, and like I said, a work session for our budget, so we'll share that. And then in the meantime, we're gonna really ramp up our social media through those 2 pages to kind of help encourage some of the local businesses. What else? Anybody have any other questions for me? No? I feel like I'm talking really loud. The room has gotten more echoey ever since this floor, but it looks great. Looks great.
We have issues with hearing.
But we are gonna pay the engineer, right?
Do what now?
We are gonna pay the engineer to do the preliminary.
Yeah. Well, this initial meeting isn't costing anything. It's the meeting to get the quote for what a master sewer plan would cost. And the design guidelines too, from my understanding, I have no idea what the master sewer plan is gonna cost, what the engineering for developing that plan would cost, but I kind of have an inkling for the design guidelines. If we borrow some from another town, which is what we did initially, and adapt them to what would need for Sharpsburg, it could be $15,000. If we get, all brand new ones written, it could be as much as $30,000. It's because it's all legal, documentation that has to happen. So, yes.
We are gonna pay for it.
Yes, we're gonna pay for it.
So is we.
The town/DDA.
Yeah. I don't know, with our budget, like I said, there may be, we also want to get some updated, I'm also getting some pricing. We haven't talked about this yet because we haven't had our budget meeting, but just as an FYI, we're also getting some pricing on some garland to go around the light posts for Christmas for this next year, because when you drive down Main Street, the whole Main Street's dark, and then you get the community center and there's lights here, but there wasn't anything on the actual Main Street, so we're getting pricing for that too, and that would come out of our budget as well. So that's it for my comments. Hello.
So Polly, do you have any other questions about your specific questions on, your questions?
About what?
The DDA.
costs.
Yeah.
No, I just wanna I just think we put that much money into it, we need to know what's happening, and
Yeah.
thank you for that detailed report.
You're welcome.
It's good to know.
You're welcome.
That's what we're supposed to be doing.
You're welcome. We're good stewards.
Are we privy to your minutes?
Yes, we
Yes,
think
sir.
it's,
Minutes are all online, I'll
They're on
post them online.
yeah,
website.
they're on the website. Mm-hmm.
Sherry?
I'm good.
All right. Polling of the council. Good people go first. Yeah.
Polly, get your camera. Turn that camera around.
No polling? How about you, Holly?
Holly, get your camera, turn your camera around.
You tired of being the central star?
Yeah, I don't wanna see me on next door.
Yeah, I do say, I totally approve of the raises to employees.
Yes.
But the only thing I object to is no, not y'all, is the fact that when they were making the recommendations, they used a town of up to 1,000 and we only have 349 people. And they do have a category from 0 to 499. But I think you should get it on merit, not based on something else.
Well, that's something that we.
That's a compliment, in case you didn't recognize.
I picked up on that. Thank you.
I agree, they do a great job.
Thank you.
Yep. Tom?
We've issued, 14, library cards
Okay.
to citizens. And we've hooked up half of those onto Hoopla. It works great. I've dropped off some cards for y'all here. If you wanna get on Hoopla, let me know. It's a pretty little streaming thing. We had a problem at the library with the smell of, backed up sewage. And it turned out to be, the way it's designed, the people from the plumbing company told me that we needed to make sure we run water through the sink after we use the toilet to maintain the seal between the septic system and the bathroom itself.
We do that here with the drains in the floor.
Yeah.
If the drains are dry, then you
Yeah.
get that spunky smell.
Well, that's what we did.
So we did it all summer, no problem. But we also had drain flies a couple years back. And you gotta put vinegar in water. But we do that here too.
But we had that issue because it smelled like the devil.
Yeah, what about gas coming up that way?
That's what it was.
Well, I mean, that's dangerous, isn't it? I mean, not just unpleasant, but isn't it dangerous?
I don't think so.
Really? I thought it was.
We have some issues in that whole septic system, and it's not time to bring it up
I'm not
now.
talking about it.
But we have a little bitty lot, we have a septic system, and I don't have any idea where it goes. Where the leach
Nobody
goes.
else does.
I think it goes to one of our neighbors' property.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I know it does. It has to.
Yeah.
What else was I gonna bring up? I think that's it.
All right.
Well, online, in line with the issue over at the library, we also had an issue with the air conditioning out here.
Yes.
And it was the defroster unit that went out. And given the cold weather and given it was Winterfest, guys, I made an executive call and I did it. It was above the 500 limit, but I fixed it.
Yeah.
So it's done. So it was budgeted, all the above. But it was something that needed to be done, and I'm confident that I called every one of you, I would have still gotten the approval. So I just went ahead and did it. Couple of things. In a week from now, we're gonna have a soft closure of the town hall because we won't have furniture in here and we're gonna be getting flooring in there. So we're gonna work, staff and I are gonna be working from home to the best of our ability, but of course we're gonna be limited on some of the things we just can do, okay? So if you get somebody who calls you and says they're not answering phones at town hall, that very well may be true, but just understand that's the situation we're in. And looking at what's going to happen in there, I reached out to VC3, that is our IT provider. The reason I did is because we're taking out computers and we're standing them back up. We did something back in November that you would have thought would have been very intuitive and would not have been an issue. Replacing phones. Replacing phones, we unplug one phone, put another phone in. Julie can attest, Mayor saw it too. I think we spent 2 weeks trying to get the phones back on as everything started to fall apart. Okay, we got them working and they're great, but at the end of the day, we had about 2 weeks of downtime with phones not really working well. So in my effort to say, well, let's be preemptive and not have an issue with our entire town hall going down, I reached out to VC3 to see if we can get a professional who can come in, make sure our network goes down properly, and that we can stand it up properly when all this is done. They have that capability, but they gave us a quote. they gave an enormously bad quote earlier today, and I shot it down. But they charge by the hour, and they are recommending that it would be about 4 hours of work to take it down and 4 hours to bring it back up. That quote is $1,448. But I think the trade-off is you're not going to have the potential issues that we ran across back in November, or we didn't anticipate issues. So my request to you guys, the budget you just approved has $6,000 in a computer line item. Can we use of that, the $1,448? I would actually say go to not to exceed of $1,600. And let's just make sure this town hall goes down properly and stands up properly without exorbitant loss of time. Is that agreeable to you guys?
Yeah. Good with that?
I have no problem with it.
Okay. Then can I get you guys to make a vote and just approve this quote?
Make a motion to approve the not to exceed 1,600,
Not to exceed 1,600.
coming from the, computers.
Yeah, I second that.
All right.
Well, yeah,
You have to make the motion.
yeah, you're gonna make a motion before you make a second.
Well, I thought you just made the motion.
No, I did too.
Yeah.
I thought you did too. I'm sorry.
You can.
Need a second, you got it.
Polly made the motion.
Polly made the motion and Tom seconded it.
Yeah.
She waved.
All in favor?
Okay.
I didn't see
Cynthia
it.
made the motion.
And it-
All in favor?
I think it needs to be understandable.
We all agree.
Well, thank
You don't
you.
remember me?
I do have another ask. I have another ask.
Oh, no.
In clearing out this office, we have numerous documents. I can walk you back here and show you of files that we probably should not have. One of the biggest issues we've had all along is storage space. And as we're actually able to start going through, we're finding we have a lot of files we can get rid of that simply need to just be shredded. On the next agenda coming up, I went back through the minutes. I didn't see where the town has actually adopted a resolution for a retention policy. So I have one that I'll be bringing up in the February meeting. That is a retention policy. And if you don't know what a retention policy is, it is your agreement that certain documents under the guidance, this is not something I made up, it's something from University of Georgia for local governments. And it essentially says certain documents are kept for certain periods of time. Minutes, for instance, are permanent records. But things I write on my notepad here may be good for 3 months. We don't have to keep literally everything.
Yeah.
Right? That's what a retention policy does. You have, like Julie mentioned earlier, we have boxes from 1974. I don't know what's in those boxes, but we have a lot of files here. Things from the 90s, some from the 80s. My larger point is this, I think a lot of that can go away, and when it goes away, it opens up the storage space, resolving one of those issues. But to get rid of them, you shred them. There may be things that you don't want out there. The shredder we have is inadequate. You can run a couple of pages through it, but if we're talking boxes and boxes, it will jam, and you're gonna be spending an unnecessary amount of time to do this.
Miss Polly saw me kicking.
Right?
There's a company that'll come out
Yeah.
and shred it all.
There is a company that will, but what the ask I was going to have is to do what I've seen in other places. Just get a bigger shredder.
Yeah, we have a home shredder.
Just get an actual bigger shredder, one that is conducive for town business. We've asked that guy who's doing the furniture for us, can get his hands on a state contract. I don't even think it would even require that, but he's saying he can find us a good quality actual shredder for town business purposes, for $1,500. Would you guys be okay with me going out and just telling that guy, bring us a shredder and we can start shredding this stuff? And by the way, it's permanent. We don't have to keep calling the company. Just as we see it, we can shred it.
What would it cost us to have somebody come in and do it?
I haven't asked for that. I haven't, but if I frankly just haven't asked for a company to come and do the shredding for us.
Well, we probably need a more adequate shredder anyhow, so, I'm good with that.
One thing, with our codification thing coming up, is there any chance that within that mass of stuff that you would like to destroy, there may be something that would, I mean, a lot of these ordinances aren't signed, they're not.
Right.
There may be some documents that say that it was approved, that something was approved. Would it be
So
worthwhile?
when it comes to codifying, Tom, I was actually able to find it. You may not recall when I brought this up, but I found essentially what I would call the treasure trove of all these ordinances, signed ordinances. And that's what I was able to make copies of and get those over to Unicode.
They should be,
So-
well, as part of the minutes though, you should keep.
Right, well, we
I
don't
mean,
give,
the codification is just codifying what you did,
Yeah.
and you adopt that.
I was just thinking that there may be some things that we don't know if we did it or not, that the evidence might be in that mass that you want to restore.
right,
Well,
so
that- yeah, you can do that, but what he's found in the actual ordinance.
I found the actual,
Yeah.
found the actual and signed ordinances.
Well, I
So,
use
but
that as
they-
an example, so.
What
Right.
most places do is they keep the minute book, they keep an ordinance book, and they keep the minute book, and they keep a resolution book. And so you make a reference, so if you adopt, it's not necessarily attached, although if you do, I make them do this when they adopt a new zoning ordinance. Attach the whole ordinance in the ordinance book, as opposed to the separate book. But most places keep 3 books for minutes, a minute book, ordinance book, and a resolution.
And I will tell you, Tom, to answer part of your question, as we were going through boxing things up, we really did find, not ordinances, but resolutions had been passed that were mixed in with things that you would normally think was junk, which I think is evidence that we weren't just throwing stuff, and we haven't been throwing stuff, but as we're going through, we're finding all this mixture of, there's an actual resolution that was just mixed in with stuff that should never have been there. So part of getting rid of all this excess stuff that we may not need for a retention policy is it's still gonna take time for us to go through those boxes and pull them and say, that can be shredded and that can't be.
Well,
So it's still gonna be a long
That's what I was.
process.
You know, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right, that's exactly what we're not trying to do. But that's gonna be in my thinking, that's gonna be a lot of the time crunch on that one, as you just literally almost at page by page, can I throw that, can I not? And go from there.
I'm going back to Tom's question, how much would it cost to have somebody just come in, because there'll never be this quantity ever again?
I will be honest with you, Polly, I haven't called a company to just come in and see what they would do to shred. I haven't done that, but I'm looking at it more from a day-to-day, also operational. There's no need to hold on to something and pile it up for a company. I'm just thinking if it's something we can get rid of, we can just get rid of it without calling a
Don't let
company.
it accumulate.
Yeah,
I can just say from experience, it's not cheap.
Okay.
I bet.
It's not cheap.
Okay.
And I have cleared out my warehouse, I've cleared out my storage in the basement. I have gotten rid of files going back to, the 1930s.
Wow.
You weren't even born then,
Huh?
you weren't even born then.
Well, I know it, but there were other people around, and it has been, I bet we've spent $30,000 in the last 18 months shredding records.
Okay, well,
And that's with Shredded, and Shredded is one of the more reasonable companies.
wow.
Although there are several out there.
So do we need to make a motion to,
I think it'd just be best just to clarify and just make a motion.
okay, so
And can we just say not to exceed, he quoted 15, but can we just say not to exceed 16 off of that and give me a little bit of wiggle room?
we need a motion to, approve a new shredder not to exceed 1,600 for the office.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, Tom made a motion, do we have a
I'll
second?
second it.
Cynthia's
Thank
second.
you.
All in favor? Unanimous?
Guys, I appreciate it, thank you. After that, I'm good.
All right, I have nothing on the mayor's updates. Executive session, we don't have any.
No.
And I need a motion to adjourn.
A motion.
Cynthia made a motion, do we have a second?
Second.